War is often explained as confusion, as fog, as a place where terrible things happen by accident. But history tells a different story. Again and again, civilians were not killed because soldiers did not know better. They were killed because someone decided it was acceptable. And what followed was not justice, but silence. This is not a story about one country. It is not about one war. It is about a pattern that repeats whenever power believes it will never be punished. Kunduz hospital airstrike, Afghanistan. 2015, on October 3, 2015, in the middle of the night, an American AC-130 gunship appeared above the city of Kunduz. Below it was not a battlefield, it was a hospital. The trauma center was run by Doctors Without Borders, one of the most respected humanitarian organizations in the world. It treated civilians, children, and wounded people from all sides of the conflict. No weapons were allowed inside. This rule was strictly enforced. For nearly 30 minutes, the gunship circled the building. This was not random fire. This was controlled, deliberate targeting. 211 shells hit the hospital complex. Inside, patients burned alive in their beds because they were too weak to move. Doctors were killed while performing surgery. Some lost limbs, some were decapitated by shrapnel. People who ran from the burning building were shot from the air. 42 people were killed, doctors, nurses, patients. Just days earlier, the hospital had provided its exact GPS coordinates to the U.S. military. This was done specifically to prevent such an attack. During the strike, hospital staff called military officials again and again. They begged them to stop. The firing continued. After the attack, the explanations kept changing. First, officials claimed U.S. troops were under threat. Then they said Afghan forces requested the strike. Finally, commanders admitted it was an American decision, blaming human error and faulty equipment. Some officials claimed Taliban fighters were hiding inside the hospital. Doctors Without Borders denied this completely. President Obama apologized. 16 personnel were disciplined administratively. No one was charged with a crime. The Pentagon ruled it was not a war crime because it was an accident. The United Nations demanded an independent investigation. It never happened. Mahmudiyah killings, Iraq, 2006. On March 12, 2006, 5 American soldiers walked away from their checkpoint near Mahmudiyah. They went to the home of an Iraqi family. Inside lived a 14-year-old girl, her younger sister, and their parents. For weeks, the girl had been watched, stared at, harassed. One soldier, Stephen Dale Green, had touched her face during a house search. He later said killing Iraqis felt like squashing ants. That day, the soldiers drank alcohol mixed with energy drinks. They openly talked about rape and murder. They changed their clothes to look less like soldiers and walked to the house. They separated the family. The parents and younger sister were shot dead. The mother fought back. Her arms were broken. Then the soldiers raped the 14-year-old girl, one after another. Afterwards, she was killed. Her body was burned to destroy evidence. They returned to base and celebrated by eating chicken wings. Her brothers came home from school to find their family dead and their house burned. They were left orphans. At first, the crime was blamed on insurgents. Months later, another soldier reported the truth. Stephen Green was convicted in civilian court and sentenced to life in prison. He later died behind bars. The others received long sentences with parole options. Justice was partial. The damage was permanent. Haditha massacre, Iraq, 2005. On November 19, 2005, a roadside bomb killed one U.S. Marine in Haditha. In response, Marines entered nearby homes. What followed was not combat. It was execution. 24 civilians were killed, men sitting on floors, women holding children. Toddlers shot at close range. Initial reports claimed they died in a firefight. Autopsies proved they were executed. 8 Marines were charged. All charges were eventually dropped or reduced. Only 1 Marine was punished, not for killing, but for lying. Tiger Force Vietnam in 1967, an elite U.S. Army unit called Tiger Force was sent to Vietnam. They were told to produce high body counts. For 7 months, the unit terrorized villages. Unarmed farmers were executed in rice fields. Families hiding in bunkers were killed with grenades. Prisoners were tortured and murdered. Some soldiers cut ears from corpses and wore them as trophies. Years later, the army investigated and confirmed routine murder. No one was punished. The files were buried. No Gun Ri, Korea, 1950. During the Korean War, hundreds of civilians fled south. U.S. troops stopped them near No Gun Ri. They were ordered under a railroad bridge. For days, soldiers fired into the crowd. Aircraft attacked from above. Hundreds were killed. For decades, the U.S. denied it happened. Eventually, it was acknowledged, but called a tragic accident. No prosecutions followed. Biscari Massacre, Sicily, 1943. During World War II, American soldiers executed 73 surrendered prisoners of war. One sergeant used a machine gun, reloading to kill the wounded. A captain ordered a firing squad to kill 36 prisoners. General George Patton initially tried to cover it up. 1 man was convicted, sentenced to life, quietly released a year later. Dachau Liberation Reprisals, Germany, 1945. When American troops liberated Dachau concentration camp, they found unimaginable horror. In rage and shock, surrendered SS guards were executed. Others were beaten to death by freed prisoners. The army investigated. Executions were confirmed. General Patton dismissed the case. No one was punished. The pattern: different wars, different decades. Same pattern: denial, excuses, delayed investigations. Reduced sentences, silence. When the powerful investigate themselves, justice becomes optional. History is not just written by the victors, it is edited by them. And when crimes are forgotten, they are repeated. Remembering these stories may be the only justice the victims ever receive. If you want to discuss this video or suggest the next topic, join the link in the description.